Roswell, I will yeet you through a window.
Okay.
Hello, Brian?
That's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh my freaking god, this bear. You call yourself a wall master. Just shut up! She gets to sit back and be no part of anything, while the sentient Epson printer here does all the work. I think I know how I'm gonna make the video funny now. I want to strangle the little rat.
It's fine. Carry on.
Given the trend of the last update, we're no doubt going to be investigating the first set of murders for Haas, Sal, and Roswell again. It's kind of made me realize we honestly don't have a lot of information as to how Haas or Sal died specifically. Roswell doesn't really matter that much since he pretty much solved his own death back on day 10, while Haas just kind of stood there in the corner and looked suspicious. Like, we know how they died, obviously, but we've yet to uncover a motive or literally anything past a cursory glance in their case since the murders were so concise. And given those timelines technically never happened, we can't glean any unique info beyond the resonance point, like how Tyson was made out to be the suspect for Haas's murder, or how the hunting knife was wedged in the freezer door. I'm looking forward to this. Blue named Oswin. It's been a while since I've been on this save file. Haas! I've been looking forward to a Haas update, it's been too long. Oh, you're not Haas.
You're looking for us?
That's why we were yelling Haas. How are you doing?
I want to be alone for starters.
You're not doing a great job at it so far.
Yeah, well, Haas went outside.
He continued upstairs with his hands in his pockets. Cool talk, bro. I stepped out into the fresh air and tensed up. Just being out here was still worrying me, but it didn't seem like Haas was anywhere out here. Following my nose, I turned towards the pool and saw just enough of him that I knew where to head. Haas, you okay? Yeah, why? Don't give me those murder eyes, Haas. I know when you're lying. The past few days really got me thinking about things. Like when we were leaving, if we get to, you know. What did you want to talk about? Haas, am I a burden? Not where I thought that conversation was going. I know it's not easy trying to get me to talk about things, but it's been getting easier. I guess specifically, not talking about things is easier because it doesn't make people worry. It's the opposite, actually. Thank you, Haas. I keep thinking back to my brother and sister. Haas pulled a face before shuffling around in his pocket before pulling out his wallet, then from within it, a photo. Aww. Haas, buddy, I hate to break it to you, but I think you might be adopted. On the left is Aino, and Kai on the right. They're tigers. You're a lion? Mom couldn't have any more kids after me, so they adopted. Is that why you like anime so much? I really don't like that that's where my mind went. To me, they're just my brother and sister. I'd do anything for those guys. Is there anything I can do to help? I don't think there's much anyone can do right now unless you can magically get us off the mountain. Don't worry, Haas, I get the feeling that will happen eventually. Memphis and his not dragon gang got up here somehow. You know the worst thing though, Dave? I've actually considered looking into how you saw me die again. Maybe Roswell's rubbing off on me. Given what happened yesterday, that might not be such a bad idea. I get the feeling this isn't going to take long. I really want to know what we could possibly glean from this. Other than painstakingly tracking every single location the knife has been this entire time, there's not really much of a way to figure out anything else about Haas's murder. One thing that's always bugged me though, are the pants that Haas was wearing when he died. They are not his normal pants like the ones he's wearing right now. That may have just been an art thing since that CG's pretty old anyway, but it always stood out to me. What do we have to go off of? I got stabbed, right? Yeah, in the showers over there, That's not helping me narrow things down, you know. Haas, look, buddy, you're gonna have to accept the fact you're pretty much on your own in this investigation. So what we do know is that you were stabbed with a very specific kind of knife, you were shirtless, and you looked wet. Well, I think we can rule out a couple of people. Okay, I gotta know how you got to that conclusion. The closest person that even makes sense would be Sal, just because around that time is when all the stuff with Hypnos was going on. So I think we can rule out Sal. Cool, glad to see we're on the same page, Haas. He was with us, and unless he's a stone-cold killer, I don't think he'd have come out with saying that he trusts everyone only to be the one to stab me. If we're running down the list, I think ruling out Roswell and Orlando is safe too, given I don't think either of them would be able to actively stab me. Oswin and Benson are the only ones left. That we know of! Sure, they have the capability of doing it, Dave, but they have no reason to. Benson used to be a trained assassin a long time ago, but he'd know how to quickly kill someone. When would that ever have come up in casual conversation? Does that matter? Haas, you don't avoid the question. Does he take orders from anyone else? Is he a gun for hire? I mean, Look, Haas, you make a point. I will admit, I understand your reasoning here, okay? But just, again, like, He may have been an assassin at some point, but he's not an idiot. Even if, let's just pretend that Oz did order him to kill someone, you'd have to really convince me that Benson wouldn't question it without a second thought, let alone someone in a group of friends who were barely out of high school. I don't think it can just be random killing, otherwise it wouldn't have happened a second time, right? More fake residents! How about we just get tea after we look into this Tyson thing you saw in the vault? I'm kind of inclined to say that we didn't really learn anything, but at the same time, I didn't really expect us to, necessarily. It's not really a mystery of how he died. It was throwing suspicion at Roswell for Dean's route. There's nothing to say that Benson couldn't have... It's making me start to think about Benson now. Roswell, Benson, and Oz. This game is trying very, very hard to make me suspicious of them. I need to think on this more. I caught Sal stealing glances my way over breakfast, looking troubled. I stepped out into the foyer and immediately noticed the front door was open, and soon followed was a soft humming of a familiar deep voice. Oh, that face makes me happy. You're in a good mood, Sal. Which is very weird because people have tried to kill us in the last couple days.
Oh, what? Sorry, I didn't know you were there. Dave, what happened?
I got the vault to work.
So this is just like what you saw with me. What do we do? Can I help?
I don't know, you have any ideas?
We start at the beginning, when things started going wrong.
That would be Roswell's murder? I did... Dave?
What? That's not what I meant, but now I have questions.
Yeah, me too, Sal. Oh, if we're talking about vault things, that'd be the first one I saw. Dave? We're on Sal's route.
Well, it's not where I'd consider starting things going wrong, as worrying as that is.
Okay, either I put Roswell's password in on the early days on this save file and have forgotten, or Dave is remembering across timelines.
At some point along the way, things started going wrong. All these events connected by something. Maybe I was targeted because of my past. Maybe you were targeted because of your father. It's hard to say.
What do you mean because of your past?
From my perspective, it seems likely that whoever is behind this, it holds a grudge. Or maybe not a grudge, but is trolled by something caused by something someone else did.
That very loosely sums up my theory. Thank you, Sal.
Well, the common thread has to relate to me, Benson, and Orlando's family, if it's going to make sense.
That would mean whoever is behind this can't be Orlando's family, right? If we only learned about them later, and the road blew up after the Vault Vision started, then they can't be the ones behind it, right? What?
That only leaves 9 people in the mansion prior to that.
That we know of! Here's the problem, Sal, okay? Here's the problem. Every one of you dies. There is one person behind all this, which means if it is one of you, the mastermind dies on some timeline. Benson and Oz also die, which exclude them from the pot as well. I can't... You're really trying to make me distrust Benson, and I really hate that it's starting to work. Well, if Benson wanted us dead, then who killed him?
I see your point.
Where does that leave us then?
I don't think I'm much help with this after all.
Honestly, Sal, you've been a lot better at following this whole nonsense than everyone else has. It's kind of interesting. Kind of like with Haas's, we didn't really learn anything about the murder itself, like I expected, since there's not really any realistic way we could have gotten new information. But also like Haas's investigation, it leaned more towards trying to frame Benson. I'm starting to notice a trend here.
There's one other thing I wanted to say. Before I forget, I wanted to thank you, Dave. I never did thank you for just being someone I could tell about Abby and have someone just understand. It's nice knowing that you're not alone in missing someone long gone. Not if, but when we get off this mountain. Can I take you to visit my sister's grave? I think just having a second person there might be nice for a change.
Aww. I wasn't expecting Sal's route to gut punch me at the end like that. Okay, I've heard good things about Roswell's route from a number of people. Let's see what the little gremlin has to offer. Roswell, are you doing okay?
I just don't know. Not much of a vacation, is it? I'm sorry that I invited you all here. Truth is, there were a couple of very selfish reasons that this whole thing came about, but I didn't expect anything like this.
What were the other selfish reasons?
How bad would a reason need to be for you to hate me for it?
Honestly, Roswell, unless this is where you admit that you're the mastermind, I don't think anything is going to be this bad. Oh.
There's no easy way for me to say it, so I just will. I'm dying.
What?
Not to say that we aren't all otherwise dying, but I'm on borrowed time. This vacation was just meant to be one final celebration, right? I didn't tell you how literal it was probably going to be. Cancer. Or it may as well be. It's in my brain, or it started there anyway. Until the end of the month. Could be sooner. Could be a couple days later. Or really, any day now it could happen and just be gone.
Until the end of the month. That's... I kind of want to freak right now, but I don't want to ruin the moment. I'm sorry, continue, Roswell, please. I really want to be touched by this heartwarming moment, but at the same time I saw the reference photo for this, so I'm trying really hard not to laugh right now.
I don't want to be remembered as some sad, weak bore who died having never made an impression. You know, some things you had no way of knowing, so I don't hold them against you. But the argument, that really hurt Dave.
I feel bad for taking Dave's side in that argument now.
Now, how about we focus on something else?
Roswell, you can't just drop that on me and then leave it. There were two things, but I guess the more important of the two was that I got the vault to work.
And you didn't tell anyone.
Well, the only thing I know is it happens during a full moon.
Oh, Dave, he's not a...
Yeah, Roswell, that's pretty much the face I made too.
This is bad when we found the cancer medal, isn't it?
I think I'd feel better if I could make sense of how you died.
Oh, is that all?
I like how casually you just say that.
Well, nothing's proven yet, but consider it a highly probability that I have solved it. The only way to properly see how close I am is to go confront the culprit, right?
Roswell? What are you doing?
Come on, let's go find our murderer.
Okay. Why are we going to the basement?
Right through here. We'll take a shortcut.
Oh, you know about this one. Okay. How did you know about this passage?
Is it that worrying that I know?
Yes!
Why can't I just happen to also know things?
Knowing where we were going now, I was curious to see if my assumption was going to be correct. Oh, this is gonna be good.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Dave and I have been thinking about the instances the vault is showing him. Specifically this time when we saw me dead in the museum.
Sounds familiar enough to me.
See, here's the thing. Does beg the question, where were you that day?
Doesn't matter.
Oswald, don't you do this to me right now.
I have a theory that could potentially hold water depending on Osmond's alibi.
You don't have any right knowing what I did that day. In the interest of playing fair, I will say that I was in the study.
I'm sorry, what?
I was in there when you and Dave were looking into things. A good thing I kept myself hidden and quiet if there were as long as I did.
But that would mean...
I would like to narrow down who could have stolen what's missing from my laboratory.
What exactly is missing?
Did you want an itemized list or just a general overview?
Alphabetized and categorized.
Let's see. A few choice poisons, or at least I imagine the only way you'd use what was taken is as a poison. A pneumatic injector, presumably to inject what was stolen into someone unfortunate person.
I can feel where this conversation is going. I appreciate the amount of confidence you had walking into here, Roswell, but the turns have tabled.
Oh, if you wanted me to make an accusation, then most likely would be Roswell.
But this isn't proof.
Outside of yourself, who else went into the woods?
There's no reason Roswell would... Did Roswell try to off himself? Oh my word!
This is still circumstantial.
How did you find yourself in the lab today?
Roswell?
Are we done?
I suppose so.
That was a lot of information to just lay on me. Okay. That was a lot to take in all at once. A lot of new angles are being implied here. More and more suspicion is being passed around, and most of it is being thrown at Benson and Oz. I swear there's more that those two are not telling us. I'm gonna need some time to think about all this. You have until the month is up. Roswell may die at the end of the month. The experiment lasts for 1 month. The experiment centers around Roswell. That means the morphic resonance. This is involved of keeping two specific people alive. It's Roswell and Dave. Roswell needs to stay alive so that they can find a cure, which means that would be able to help Reginald, because he probably has the same thing that Reginald has in terms of the cancer. And we need to keep Dave alive, because Dave is the main point that's getting all the resonance points. That's why Florencia is doing what she's doing. That's why the time is only lasting for this long. She's trying to get her dead brother back, because that's why. That's why. Okay. That makes a lot more sense now. Oh, boy. While I don't know the full extent of what's going to be in this update, I do know a large portion of it's going to revolve around capping off the romance arcs for the cast. As many people who talk to me know, I'm not a fan of this side of the game. It's not that I dislike it or think that it's poorly written, mind you. I simply feel it doesn't play a necessary role in the story. I find it distracting more than anything whenever it struggles for the limelight and snaps me out of the mystery. Password is a mystery thriller, through and through. It's not a dating sim. I could go on, but we'll save that as a bullet point for my eventual review. I am, however, looking forward to if we're going to glean any new information in this update. Prior to recording this, someone did message me and say there's something I'll find of interest, so I'm curious to see what this video is going to end up looking like. Stepping onto the front yard, I breathe in the cold morning air as I rub my eyes. What did I have to do today? Well, let's see, Dave. The two notable things is you have to deal with a brown bear later, and then later stop Ty from turning into Danny Osborne. Dave? Benson! It's been a while. Why won't you be out here so early? You left the door open, which was, especially at this hour, quite suspect.
Oh, it's just Dave.
Nice to see you too, Oswald.
Do you have any plans for today, Dave?
Oz, I got a brown bear that's dragging me against my will to do something this evening. Please help me.
Not today. Not anymore. Perhaps tomorrow.
No, Oz, come back. Take me with you. I was this close to another investigation.
Still being the first one to arrive, everything was cold and I started with the lights in the coffee machine.
Oh, what's got you smiling?
Oh, jeez. Just thinking about making coffee, that's all.
What's for breakfast, by the way?
Maybe pancakes again?
Want some help?
Please no.
Then would it be a bother if I just stayed here and watched?
I'm gonna have to put up with this bear all day, aren't I?
I can smell pancakes.
Oh, finally, thank you, other people.
Dean, why aren't you helping? He didn't want any help.
I went back to cooking and the three of them made small chat, eventually moving into the dining room when the others started showing up.
What are you doing?
Oh, there you are, Thanatos. I was wondering when you'd show up. Washing the dishes?
Why?
Who else is gonna do it?
Benny boy, maybe? It's his job.
He's kinda busy keeping us all safe, though.
God, you're insufferable.
Said the kettle to the pot. I looked at Thanatos and saw his attention was at the door to the kitchen.
We have company. Hello, Dave.
Oh boy, this is a trio. I looked at Roswell and watched as his eyes drifted from me across to Thanatos, almost doing a double take upon seeing him. Okay, this connection between these two is driving me insane. Someone help me find something to move him. Orlando marched forward, snatching up the colander from where it was hanging and properly dropped it over Thanatos. I could hear him kick against the side of the colander, but only the once, seemingly resigned to being held down.
Interesting rat. Very interesting, very heavy rat.
Uh-huh. I was a little thankful that I didn't run into anyone else on the way to the basement, assuming that would have been the best place to drop him off, with it being dark and fairly out of the way.
Took you long enough.
What are you even doing?
Checking out my options.
Like you were with Dean yesterday?
Something like that. But I had another thing I wanted to ask you before you were rudely interrupted.
I scurried over to the room with the vault door, and I followed him inside. Please tell me there's not another one. I'm not ready for another password yet, Thanatos.
So here's the question. Are you willing to die?
I can't tell if you're being metaphorical or threatening me.
It's an important question, and there's a reason. There will be a day coming up, potentially, where you'll need to make a choice.
No, what's the password? We can fix this.
Not when you're the one that makes the call.
So that's it? Someone's going to die or I'm going to die instead?
I'm just asking if you're willing.
So what? All I've got to do is just wait and see what happens?
Pretty much.
Oh, jeez. Your master, right? What are they like?
No, my master is good. What do you expect me to say? Of course he's nice. Nice enough, anyway.
I don't... You keep saying he, that it doesn't... The only person that has the know-how or even the willingness to go through with any of this nonsense in this story is Florencia. But the fact of the matter is, it's not going to be any of the cast. We know this. That is practically an established fact at this point. It doesn't make any sense to be Benson. It doesn't make any sense to be Oz. There's no one left. How do you know if your master is good?
Well, ignoring the killing, manipulation, everything, he's good.
Sounds like a lovely fellow. Yeah, the whole marked for death thing and saving two people thing, right?
Two? My master only cares to save one person, and that's it. They think that saving this one person is the key to stopping the whole mess. Anyone else? Well, that's a bonus.
You know who they want to save.
Of course.
But you're not going to tell me.
Now, what are you planning on doing now? Going to investigate someone else's death later?
What do you mean?
That's what you were doing yesterday. Figured you'd make an effort to at least look into Benson's next.
I'll do it tomorrow. I've got something I need to do today. Darn it, Dave! When I opened the door, I watched Thanatos scurry away into the darkness and out of sight. Dean, are you in here?
Just tending to a couple things. Everything alright?
Thanatos showed up again this morning.
What did he want?
Dunno, but Roswell and Orlando showed up, and then we moved him just so he wasn't in the kitchen.
So he was hungry.
But if he was a robot, he wouldn't want to eat anything.
You never know, he might want chips.
Chips?
Microchips.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Several bad puns later.
Now we have to deal with the bear. Okay, let's get this over with.
Dave!
Here we go.
Well, hey there. Want to see a magic trick?
Not particularly.
Good evening. I have a reservation for two.
Oh, God.
So, this is nice. Wilson?
Hold, please.
Oh, okay.
I was condensing down this bit to be as concise and polite as possible.
Am I gonna get yelled at for 5 minutes again?
No, I did... Okay, look, Dean. I'll lay it out straight for you, alright? As much as a fuss as I make, truth is, Dean, I do like you. You're honestly someone I would hang out with in real life. You're kind, supported, devoted, honest, and admittedly nice to be around. You're an excellently written character and have a lot of hidden potential, and you don't deserve the mean things I've said about you in the past. Sure, I don't trust you right now because your sole connection to the plot is through Thanatos and Dominic, and it concerns me you may have mafia connections the longer I ruminate about it, but that's not the point. I have thought long and hard about this though, and I think I finally have an answer as to why you drive me up the wall so much. Put simply, Dean, you got no personality. I mean, you do have a personality, arguably one of the deepest in the cast. But the issue is it's so painfully hard to get even tiny scraps of what makes you tick that dealing with you is exhausting. It wasn't even until halfway through this game that we learned anything about you that affected how we interact. There's so much to your personality that's just not utilized. You have a massive family, you know how to whittle wood, you clearly like to read, you know how to cook and grill. You've worked at your brother's pizzeria, your grandfather was a firefighter, you plan to move into the lumber business, you play basketball, you love botany and know how to garden. You have so many amazing gems that could make you a great character, and they're all just wasted in favor of this inescapable romance plot that's forced onto the player despite their choices. It's no wonder why so many people just label you as a sex-crazed bear, because that's the only readily tangible facet of your personality that actually has any lasting impact. It's a real problem, Dean. It's why I'm so indifferent when I play your route, because I know nothing I do outside of this mystery will matter when it comes to interacting with you. I want to like you as a whole, Dean. I really do. You have so much rich potential. You're a good character. I've drawn fan art of you multiple times. I don't do that for just anyone. Look, thank you for this, but if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna get back to the video now. Gotta stop Tyson from turning into Van Helsing after all.
Wasn't Van Helsing the hunter and not the werewolf?
Look, Dean, if you want to help, grab a silver bullet and some dog treats. Don't question my knowledge of cinema.
Well, that was a nice little amalgam of clusters that went off.
As I expected, there wasn't really a whole lot that I thought I would cover in this video, I suppose. I'm still just really thinking about what Thanatos said, though. Just, there's no one left in the cast that would make sense. And why would Oz say that they're wanting to save two specific people, but Thanatos says his master only wants to save one? It just doesn't make any sense that... Wait, The only person left that's not been accounted for is... Oh, you crafty little... That makes sense. The only person left is Reginald. Reginald is Thanatos' master. Of course he is. Of course Reginald was Thanatos' master. Because he's the one that started the experiment. So the only person Thanatos is interested in saving is Roswell, because he has the same ailment as Reginald, which means if he survives, then the information can be potentially sent back in a subsequent iteration of the timeline, which would also explain why he gets so upset at Dave on the D timeline with Roswell dies, not to mention his freaking name, the God of Death. How did I not notice that before? He's literally carrying out Reginald's request post-mortem. Not to mention, of course, Thanatos would be interested in saving anyone else, because David didn't come along and get involved in this mess until after Reginald had passed and Thanatos got his orders set in the original timeline. That means Florencia is still the mastermind. Because what a better way to control the situation with no strings attached and if not even started the experiment herself in the first place. She's just manipulating it from afar, leaving herself to be no part of anything. And how poetic to give orders through Thanatos as Hypnos, the god of sleep, and his sibling. That would also explain why her and Oz are interested in saving Roswell and Dave collectively. Because if Dave is saved, that satisfies Oswin for saving David, as well as his brother. And for Florencia, if Dave survives, she has a means to send information on how Roswell lives back to save her brother as a successful conduit for the resonance device. Each person has their own vested interest with a common denominator refusing to cope with death and cheat the system, the very anti-core of what Dave's arc is about. You know, I wasn't expecting a Galaxy Brain breakthrough 2 videos in a row now. Why do I get the feeling this is going to become a trend in the next few updates? Wait, pumpkin-flavored soup with cheese and almonds? Oh, oh, jeez. So, some of you may have noticed there was no video last month.
Or maybe you didn't, you.
But anyway, last update was tying up the romance arcs for the majority of the cast. As a result, there just really wasn't a lot that I reacted to that was worth making a whole video for. I got about 3 hours of footage, but only had maybe 5 minutes worth of content that was worth showcasing. That being said, there were a few gems that I liked. Dave, you have what we like to call protagonist syndrome. You'd be a ringer for a lead in a harem anime.
Imagine how old my dad would be, and then, I don't know, multiply that by 5 at least.
I'm sorry, are you telling me Memphis is 200-something years old? Are you freaking serious? If Tyson wasn't here, I'm pretty sure I'd be the dumbest one here. Wow! But anyway, now that that's all finally out of the way, we can focus wholeheartedly on solving this game's mystery. And after waiting 3 months for this, hot dang am I excited. My head hurt. I couldn't tell why it was hurting, but it was. all while I slept. Okay.
Hey everyone, he's awake!
Yeah, just worried.
You jumping like that was a bad idea. What's going on?
Dave?
You can't stack those.
Are you sure?
Dude, calm down. It's not even you drawing the cards. Grizz just had to get in one more punch on Uno before the game was over. I could feel my heart rate rising quickly. The confusion only getting worse. These were just dreams, right? But they felt different somehow. Well, Dave is starting to McFrickin' lose it.
You did good, Junior.
Oh, hello, Jarvis.
You have any dreams last night?
Yeah, they were weird. Almost like,
Like they were memories?
what did you do to us?
Like you'd believe me if I said no anyway.
I think I need coffee. And a hug.
Don't look at me for either.
It didn't take long for everyone to arrive, each of us taking our seat at the table, with Orlando heading into the kitchen once everyone was accounted for. Oswin wandered in with Benson at some point, not saying anything to us, and continuing on to the kitchen looking just as tired as I felt. Hey, everyone. I have something to say. 2 days ago, I got the vault to work again. I was told there was a password, so I spent the day trying to solve it. The thing is, I didn't say anything because I wanted to try and fix it myself, but also because I didn't want the person behind it knowing, in case they tried to mix things up on us.
Are you implying that it was someone here that set that up?
How do you know it's one of us? So, someone's been controlling a robotic rat, and that rat was setting off a loud noise underneath Ty's bed, and that was making him go crazy, and he was going to break last night, but I found the rat and talked to him, and we had it all figured out. Smooth, Dave. That was about as smooth as a brick.
The rat?
I mean, that was my front of the kitchen. I mean, he's kind of a jerk.
That's putting it lightly.
Oi, I'm already here. Heard you was talking about me.
Ah, there he is. Why don't you pass the butter while you're at it? If literally anyone gets that reference, I'll be amazed.
Well, go on. I'm sure you all have questions now that Junior here opened his mouth.
So the other day at the kitchen.
Yeah, real classy putting me on a mouth thing.
We're not all hallucinating, right? He's actually talking. Well, Orlando's reaction is pretty much what I expected. I'm kind of surprised more people aren't freaking out about a talking rat right now. I expected this to go much worse.
Heard you were good with your hands, unlike a certain someone wanted to check.
Why is it you're looking at me when you say that?
Why not just give it to me?
Can you do robotics?
No.
Then that's why in it. File indeed said he had history, so that's why I went with him. Chances are I know things about you that you're keeping a secret from one another. I have a question. Do we know who's puppeteering him right now? No strings on me, that's for sure.
I can appreciate the reference there.
He doesn't take orders from anyone?
In theory, that person should be me. Alas, that's not the case.
What are you talking about, master?
I could see the smile on his face and the way he stressed that last word that made me wonder specifically what he was playing at. Just ignore him, Dave. He's just screwing with you.
Well, where does that leave us then? The implication is that it's one of us. Well, it's not me.
No, Dean is in the clear. He's far too stupid to mastermind this whole thing.
It's a little suspicious, but I don't think Dean's smart enough to play a long game.
Thank you, Sal. High five. Well, it's not me either. If I can't put together a broken ECM, then I can hardly put together a robot.
Honestly, thinking about it logically, it can't be any of us, can it?
I should have partnered with Sal for this investigation, my word.
I'd have to guess that's because he's the vault, right? It's not just making the robot or an AI, but then to make the vault itself really only means that you'd need a level of knowledge on this sort of stuff and along with the ability to construct it, right? Well done! Very well done! You've convinced yourselves that none of you is a traitor!
No one has the means or the opportunity.
You should know better than anyone, David Holloway Jr. What am I?
A disappointing excuse for a Roomba? The vault.
How long have I been alive for?
Yes, Thanatos, we get it. You've been alive forever, but also sometimes never. We understand the concept of Jeremy Bearimy, thank you. How many iterations of the universe have we gone through?
Now that is something I haven't been keeping track of.
Is your master alive?
Very good, Dave. Asking the right questions.
I'm impressed, Dave. You actually bothered to ask something relevant this time.
The answer to that is complicated. When was the last time you communicated with your master?
I'm not gonna lie, Roswell, that's actually kind of clever.
Today.
When? Today?
Recent.
Were you around when Dave went into the woods by himself?
Yeah, why?
Why didn't you stop him? Show him a thing or whatever to make him not go.
That's actually kind of a good point. If Thanatos can see across all the timelines, then he would have known what would have happened and Dave could have possibly died, and he needs Dave alive.
Wasn't my call in the end. Everything that happened turned out for the best, didn't it? You opened up about your old man, everyone started taking you seriously, and look at you now. Now, while I remember, let me hijack this conversation before we spend the next hour accusing me of things. Roswell had an announcement. I did? Right. I guess that's just better brought up now, huh? There's no good way of saying it, so I guess I just will. I'm dying.
I can verify this. I was consulted on if there was anything that could be done after a hospital issued your diagnosis.
It's variable. I've seen it happen once, now twice, but both are on different days.
But that's not long. 10 days or so until the end of vacation.
Don't go be dramatic. I said it could be sooner than that.
Everyone looked uncomfortable and didn't want to look at Roswell after he'd spoken.
I hope you're happy with yourself.
That puts the conversation in the way that best benefits me, yes.
Roswell, are you alright?
No, not really.
I'll leave Thanatos in your care for the time being, Dave. We'll have a chat later.
Then it was just Thanatos and me, staring at one another. Well, that was a lot.
So, ready for the next job?
Done already? You were waiting for us to finish? At the behest of Oswin, he believed things might get a bit complicated and figured he'd spare me the need to play mediator. Now, I believe you had something you wished to ask me. How do you know? A little rat told me. Okay, it has been like 2 in-game weeks since this happened. Game time. Focus. It happened right here. Right where you were standing, although, well, obviously you were on the ground. Dead. I have the cause of death. Gunshot wound. Although depending on who you ask on the server, it might be a knife wound.
Where?
In the dining room. Dave, you idiot.
In the head, Benny boy.
Describe the gun to me. It was Oz's revolver, Benson. Interesting. I was slated to clean it that night as I was putting it off. But if everyone is searching the place for a gun, I figured I wouldn't casually do it in the dining room table once everyone had turned in. Why would you need to clean it? Because Oz asked him to bury it outside, remember? Does raise an interesting possibility, however. Quite simply, why was I holding Oswald's gun? In my left hand, no less. Because obviously the scene was tampered with, Benson. You didn't kill yourself, and someone planted Oz's gun there so that it would look like you did.
It's as Benson's getting at. He wasn't shot with the gun you found him with.
Thank you, Captain Obvious. Which leaves us with the other gun that I keep loaded. Mine. There aren't any other guns in the house? There are, but I keep them under lock and key, unloaded, and in my private quarters behind another locked door. Where are the keys? You have them, right? They are safe, yes. Benson?
Didn't answer the question.
That's gonna come back to bite us later. I just know it. So my immediate thought was someone brought their own weapon or used mine. I mean, we already know this. You were most likely killed with your own gun, Benson, because it's a silencer. No one even heard a shot that night.
Only people in the house are those that you're aware of already.
While I would like to believe otherwise, that is possible. This was around the time that Sal was sleepwalking. Someone could have easily given him Benson's gun and he could have done it. I looked across to Benson, but he seemed to be staring into space, stiff as a board. Something had dawned on him.
Benson's figured it out.
Forgive me, but I cannot disclose who committed the deed. Can I be honest? Of course. I am really tired of this whole everyone having big realizations without telling me anything. You do it, Oswin does it, Thanatos does it.
You're not.
Finally, Dave, thank you for growing a spine. Tell me who it is.
Do you know whom I am most loyal?
The Hammond family.
I give my loyalty to the Hammond family in order of seniority. Of the current members of the family, Oswin is the one that sits as the family's head, as it were. But should another family member be present, well, that may change.
There it is. There's the little admission that I was looking for.
Florency ain't here anymore, in other words.
You shut your little Fazbear mouth.
Should Oswin want something kept quiet, and requests of that to me, to a fault I will obey.
You've got a few days of breathing room at least.
Few days of Oh boy.
I'll be seeing you later. Oswin might want to chat later.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Has keeping watch been tolling on you?
Truthfully, yes. I wish to return to my regular sleeping schedule soon.
I swear, you're gonna be the second sleeper agent. You already admitted that you sleptwalk once. You being another sleepwalker alongside Sal makes sense of all of this. So, Oswald, I hear you have some information for me. Let's see how much you've been paying attention to this whole thing.
Right. I wanted to talk to you about the next few days, if you don't mind. In addition, your conclusions to your investigations thus far. Do you have a prime suspect for what's been happening? A modus operandi? Anything that links these events together?
Might I recommend, Oswin, that you go watch my case file video?
Assuming Thanatos was telling the truth at breakfast, then you can at least narrow down some of the suspects.
It almost sounds like you figured it out.
I've narrowed down the possibilities to, well, 2.
Oh boy, this is gonna be great.
The first is Haas. He's been here before, knows his way around, and quite frankly doesn't play with an open hand in lay someone like Orlando does.
Yes, the cowardly lying lion, who is 1, afraid of guns, 2, incapable of even fixing an ECM jammer, 3, who has gotten killed in multiple timelines, and 4, is a weeb.
I suppose we can treat his failed attempts at fixing the ECM as evidence to that, although why Thanatos would actively choose Haas as a master leaves me to believe it's the least likely of 2 options.
And the other being?
You.
Very good, Oz, very good. I see you've been reading public build spoilers.
Just consider the facts we have to go off of. Through virtue of your father, we know you're connected to the vault, evidenced by the visions. Given Thanatos is the vault, the connection established there is, well, obvious.
Okay, Oz, let me spell it out for you. In some essence, you're right. Dave is the mastermind, but in the exact opposite manner in which you are accusing him. For our naive hyena friend here is the center of this whole mystery. The point of this game's story is that of dealing with trauma and accepting loss. The fact that Thanatos needs Dave alive is the very evidence he is in fact the anti-villain. Dave's connection to the vault proves that whoever is running this experiment believes in morphic resonance can be used to retrieve future memories of past iterations on demand, a trait you yourself have witnessed back on day 11. So ultimately, Dave can't be the mastermind, because if he was, it would not only defeat his own arc, but the entire mystery's plotline at the same time and undermine the writer's intentions from the start. Elementary, my dear Oswald.
You remember every iteration of your existence, including the first time you met your master, correct?
What of it?
Whatever your master wanted to accomplish, the saving one person thing, they haven't succeeded once yet, have they? Ah, I see what you did there. The fact that if the vault opened, you're dead. Why did you name him Thanatos anyway?
I didn't.
I'll save you the trouble. My master named me. Sort of. From the second iteration onwards, I've gone by Thanatos.
What's your original name then?
Hypnos.
Oh my word, I'm so shocked. He's the one that's been able to control people while they're asleep using sounds? I could have never seen this coming. So Oswin named you originally, way back at the beginning?
Florencia did, actually. I was going to name him what the heck is that?
Flowers for Algernon is the title of a science fiction story and a novel by American writer Daniel Keyes. Algernon is a white lab mouse that undergoes an operation that drastically increases his intelligence. For the reader, Algernon symbolizes fate, reality, and death. Haha, cute.
Before Junior here goes and asks, Ozzy was just being clever.
It's not exactly normal reading material.
Oswin rubbed his head, breathing through his nose.
How many days do we have?
Until?
Judgment Day.
Galoo Calais.
6 days at this rate. Oswin, I need a favor. Forbid Benson from firing his gun tomorrow. Failure to do so, well, I'll leave you to decide which way that goes.
Tomorrow? You little rat, you told us we had some days! You said that you suspected either Haas or myself to be behind everything. Those are the only ones you suspected, right? Because Benson seems convinced he knew who tried to kill him.
It was me.
No, I don't believe that.
Consider everything that you've described. It's not that complicated. In truth, I want you all off my mountain. If a murder were to occur, you would be forced to leave.
Your reasoning on that is about as solid as you saying Haas did it. But you're lying. I've fallen asleep here more than once, but I knew the person that was normally collecting me here wasn't coming. I sat up and stared at the familiar grave, then down the soil in front of where I knew somewhere deep down my dad was buried. Looking over to the side, I saw someone standing there, green and familiar, but the details were blurry. As if from a dream or somewhere far away, I found myself getting up and wandering closer. It's good to see you. Okay, yeah, you're not who I was expecting to see. I mean, I'm not complaining to see you again, Florencia, but who are you? You don't remember? No.
How interesting. You think we've met somewhere else before?
Haven't we?
We may have, but you're just dreaming now, dear. I don't think there's really much sense in worrying too much. I could just be a stranger for all you know.
If you listen very carefully, you can hear a Tanuki cackling to himself in the distance.
You know who's buried here?
It's just familiar for some reason.
And you're positive?
You're at the heart of this? You're at the heart of all this?
You're going to hurt yourself, Dave.
I came to, breathing hard. I was in the lab again, wondering what was happening, but my eyes settled on a passed-out Oswin being prodded by Thanatos.
Oh, you're awake. Good.
You did that?
Not the first time that trick has come in handy. Let's call it leveling the playing field.
No.
I gave Thanatos a look before reaching out for Oswin's hand, and jolt back as Oswin quickly rose, almost falling out of his chair as he got to his feet.
Reggie!
You saw something too, didn't you?
I saw my brother die in the hospital. Yes.
I don't think you tried to kill Benson. You wanted to save 2 people. Thanatos' master only wants to save 1.
It's alright, Dave. You win. I made no effort to kill Benson. The very thought was terrifying when I was alerted to it happening. I did some digging, and my conclusions are... What I mean to say is that...
This part never gets old.
You're not going to tell me, are you?
I still haven't got a reason why the attempt was made, or considered. Trying to solve potential murders across dimensional iterations is difficult when there's no opportunity, or even evidence to go off of. To that end, no, I'm not going to tell you. Not yet. Not when I need you all alive. I could say for a certainty that it was one of your friends, Dave. Not you. But I assure you that someone that arrived with you on that bus wanted Benson dead for reasons I do not know. But I will find out. If it's easier, assume I'm lying.
No, you're not lying. But I also don't believe you have all the facts.
What does it matter? You've already decided.
Dave, we'll get to the bottom of what's happening. I promise.
That was a lot to take in. We didn't learn anything super new that we hadn't already inferred about Benson's murder. However, doing more research while stuff for this video was processing, I did uncover the gem that Oz thinks that the person that killed Benson is also apparently the same person that he thinks killed him in the bad timelines. So there's that. And I'm sure Benny Boy's reluctance to give us specifics about the armory keys is going to come to be a problem later. Everything in this story is pushing for someone in the main cast to be the mastermind, but that's just not possible. The only way that would be possible is if some new piece of evidence has yet to come to light that will turn this entire story on its head. But this mystery, it's too well written to pull that stunt. There's just too many logical barriers that are set in stone for that hurdle to be crossed. Something big is going to happen in the next update though, thanks to Thanatos. And this arc has only just begun. Not gonna lie, I'm a little concerned about what might be in this update. But on the flip side, look at those new title screens. Even though that's the wrong version of Dave. Last video I neglected to cover the bad timeline for day 20 because there really wasn't any way I could think to spin the content to be entertaining. That being said, the day 20 bad timeline can pretty much be summed up like this. Hey Tyson, listen, I know you're having fun with Orlando there, but how about you come back to the mansion now? I got some Tyson snacks.
Holy mackerel!
Well, I tried. Chris specifically mentioned in the Patreon post, the bad timeline is here, and I'll summarize it with this. I lied. I have no clue what that means yet, but I get the feeling I'm going to find out very quickly. Path G. Oh boy. Okay. As I opened my eyes, I couldn't place where I was or why I was there. All I knew that my body was sore and there was a vague recollection of something being wrong. We're in the hospital. We're off the mountain. What? David?
Thank God you're awake. Easy now, buddy. You're all right. Let me go get the doctor.
This can't be real. This can't be real. I want it to be real, but this can't be real. I feel a number of levels of uncomfortableness of these two being in the same room.
It's good, right? That he's awake. Mr. Holloway, your son is alive, and while needing time to recover, I would say that's a good thing. Did Carol say anything? Dr. Holloway did not.
As Oswin left, Dad came back over and cupped my cheek. I could feel it. I could feel him rub his thumb across my cheek, wiping away the tear that was already on its way down. This isn't real. This isn't real. Don't freaking do this to me.
I'm sure the police will want to question him if you don't. So by all means, do as you will as long as it doesn't compromise the health of my patient. I'd rather not have Carol berate me again.
It's okay. It's okay. It was all fake. Don't think about it. Okay. Frowning, I focused on the grave I was standing in front of. Tyson Holloway. It's tried to kill me. This game is actively trying to kill me now. Dad wasn't fond of wearing his wedding ring normally because he kept leaving it places. Mom didn't wear hers a lot because of work, so seeing them without it was normal. Oh my word, Carol left him. Why? I mean, I freaking don't like her anyway at this point, but jeez. I heard the doorbell, but didn't react to it. Dad did, however, getting up.
Oh, howdy.
Sorry to bother you, but I was just wondering, how is he, by the way?
He's doing better.
Ah, that's a relief. Poor thing.
How about you?
Me? I'm fine.
Sure. Okay.
You know what, David, at this point, just invite her in, please. Dad wandered away from the door heading to the kitchen. He seemed a combination of stunned and confused, but went and retrieved what appeared to be 2 eggs before returning to the door.
This is gonna become the new 2 sponges, isn't it?
Thanks again for this, David. I'll come back and check in later.
See you later, Flo.
You're on the term of acronyms, I see. I'm so lost right now. I half expected I was going to be thrown somewhere else, but I started to feel cold instead. Something hard and solid underneath me. I kind of wish that had been real in some ways. At this point, I'm too confused to understand what is a memory of an alternate timeline and what isn't. Every time Thanatos has put us under, we've remembered things from timelines that we haven't encountered. That being said, if what we just saw is to be trusted, that would imply that David is alive, and that he knew Florencia personally, apparently. Stepping out into the sun, it would at least have to be mid-morning, if not later. I found myself scowling at the sky, too tired to do much else. Oh, Benson. This isn't gonna go well. Morning, afternoon. I watched him for a while, and it took me nearly a full minute to realize he was trembling. Have you slept at all? Dave, recalling what happened, I'm ill-suited for the task left for me. Scanning the tree line once more, I turned around and headed inside. Roswell? You're awake!
Are you feeling okay?
Roswell, I want you to think back to what's happened in the last 24 hours and find the answer yourself.
Right. Sorry. Yeah, I'm keeping watch. We've been taking in turns.
What do you think's gonna happen?
Presumably that visitor Thanatos mentioned, right? Problem is, as to who the culprit is, our options are limited and none of the options are even good. There's nothing much we can do without a motive, huh? Just seems odd to me that Orlando would go outside after knowing what's in the woods.
That... I hadn't considered that, actually. Orlando didn't leave the house that I can recall on day 20 on the good timeline, so why would he have left this time? What changed between that timeline and this one that would warrant that? You know, I can't help but keep thinking about this special person that's supposed to arrive at the mansion that Thanatos warned about. The one that's highly variable. Initially, I thought that it might be someone we haven't met yet, because Thanatos confirmed it wasn't Jack. But then I realized, on that timeline, we hadn't met a handful of characters that we did on the bad timelines. That being said, I have a feeling I know exactly who is going to show up. Oh boy.
It's like I summoned you. It's as if I thought your name and you just appeared. You're not a Hammond.
I feel really uncomfortable right now. Who are you?
Brian.
Brian?
Yeah, seriously, do I look like that hick from Echo?
I mean,
Don't answer that.
you were looking for someone, or?
Something like that.
So far, this is much more polite than I thought this would be. How did you get here anyway? The road's gone.
There's more than one way up the mountain, kid. Yeah, right, that's enough of that. The rat talks.
He's a special rat.
Real quick, you might want to cover your ears, Junior.
Wait, why?
Benson! I was finally getting to see Dom for once. You did shoot him in the head.
Did you care to wonder who this man was?
Where he came from, perhaps.
He was about to tell me another way off the mountain. The others started scrambling down the stairs, then taking in the scene before them.
What happened? Who is that?
Where did he come from? Does anyone recognize him?
Hoss, buddy, could you come down here a minute? Dominic. His name is Dominic. He's dead, right? Unlike Brian, he actually dies when he gets shot in the head.
Well, with Dom dead, that's going to limit our options moving forward. Do you think no one's going to come looking for him?
This guy's with the guy in the woods.
We'll let you figure that out.
I don't want to sound too optimistic considering I have seen all the other bad timelines, but the only people we got left in the little posse outside is a rabbit and Memphis. Just saying. No one else is going to die, Hoss. Don't get ahead of yourself, Dave.
He's not the most dangerous. Just his natural bulk and strength, but beyond that, nothing. We're still in a time where things are up in the air. Too many variables to really control.
So we're just meant to wait until the next thing happens?
Unless you plan on taking the fight to them, correct?
Every problem we have right now is because of you. You could have chosen to save Tyson by telling me the password. You could have saved Orlando by stopping him from going outside. You could have saved Dom by warning us who it was.
He missed you.
Thanatos' gaze just went to the ceiling as he shook his head.
You're gonna have to try something else next time.
As I opened my eyes, I looked around. No one was around. Well, assuming that Thanatos was actually talking to someone in the room that time, there were only 3 people around. Dave, Hoss, and Roswell. And if one of my lingering theories is correct, that's not terribly surprising. Hi, editing guys here. It wasn't until editing this and reading patron spoilers did I realize Thanatos probably wasn't talking to anyone in the room, but instead up to the one functional camera in the foyer. You know, that thing that hasn't been mentioned or alluded to in over 2 in-game weeks at this point. So whoever's pulling the strings likely wasn't present here at the scene. Anyway, carry on. Before I could think too hard on it, my eyes opened again. There are so many things wrong with this picture, but okay. Back with us.
He started eating marshmallows like a crazy person. And trust me, I know crazy.
Also, help me, you better find him a towel.
Fine, I'm going. Dom, keep him company. What the heck kind of memory is this? These trips into the Matrix are starting to screw with me a little bit. Heading towards the kitchen, I passed the window that lined up with one of the walls to look out into the backyard.
Finally awake, huh? I shouldn't need to tell you that I knew this would happen.
You're not going to tell me who your master is. You're not going to help us unless it helps you. What do I have to do to help?
There's the question. Less it is worrying about keeping everyone safe and alive and stuff, and more about getting my job done. The way I see it, you have 2 options. Every time you make a decision, you create a potential branch. One, I can have a look down and see if that helps get me any closer to my end goal. So your choice. You can stay here and see what happens, or you can run away and keep yourself alive.
You're saying I have to choose between escaping with my life or staying and potentially dying.
I've been down this path already, and it doesn't end great most of the time. The more people you try taking with you, the harder it's gonna be. Stay or leave. Do whatever it is that keeps you alive.
Oh. Well, we're in this for the long haul, people. Am I going to die?
Probably.
Is all of this, is it worth it?
You have no idea.
Well, I suppose my notes that said that 3 people would be dead by day 21 is indeed correct. Granted, I didn't think the third person would be Dominic, but still. I think what concerns me most, though, is I'm not entirely sure what Grizz meant when he said he lied still. Like, was that referring to Dominic and us finally getting to see more of him, or was it something else? I was so close to finally getting to know that bear better, jeez. So far, all we've seen Dominic as is a mindless grunt with a gun. Man, it would be a twist if he somehow becomes an ally during all this. Jeez. Oh no. Their revolver is bigger than Dave's head, my word. Also, I didn't play your route last, Dean. I don't know why you're here. You know, despite one glaring 6'8" feature I'm sure will be showing up to the mansion today, I'm honestly not sure what this update will entail. We got 2 timelines to play through though, so let's see where this takes us. There have only been a few times where I felt like I'd been falling in my dreams. I was conscious of it happening, but instead of waking up, I just seemed to slow down until I was on my feet. This time anyway.
Dave?
Oh geez, don't do this to me again. I felt like a passenger in my own body as I moved around the room, trying to figure out why this lucid dream seemed to be playing out on its own. Dave supposedly drinking. This is new. Actually, now that I think about it, what the heck? Why was he drinking? He's underage. And now we're outside. Okay.
I'll take credit for that.
As if there's anyone else that I could have credited.
On a more serious note, 2 questions for you.
What now?
First, have you decided what you're gonna do about Jack?
I'm sorry, did we miss something here? What about the second thing?
It's about what you saw in the little dream I gave you.
You mean memory?
Semantics.
Oh, you know, Thanatos, the usual. False hope about David being alive, that sort of stuff. Seriously, did I miss something important here? I feel like I missed something important. How did we suddenly jump from, 1, being in the foyer and being out cold, to now being here? I watched as Thanatos looked at me directly in the eye. Something in how he did it made my skin crawl. As if he could sense that I was there watching through his other Dave's eyes.
Imagine that this was the dream. Imagine that you're watching these events as a memory instead. Imagine what you could do with that information if you could look back on that previous loop and change how things go. If you'd seen the trap I set before Tyson before you needed to use the vault.
As in, use the vault without a password.
How about a test?
Okay, so this is a dream then. Okay, that explains a few things.
Question is this. Where is the Leo medal?
Roswell was the one that found cancer. Other than that, I don't know the others at all. We haven't found that one yet. How else would I know?
Because I'm about to tell you in order to give you a freebie. Listen close, Dave. Leo is hidden in the place Oswin does his best work.
And we're back. Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I really wish there was some sort of visual indication of when we were doing a memory and when we weren't, because that was super confusing. Sitting up, I looked around the room. Was there anything that told me this was the real world? That this wasn't a dream? Without hesitating, I slapped myself across the face. Where he does his best work. It's the lab, Dave. It's not that hard.
Speaking of the danger in the woods, do we know what we're going to do about that?
Thanatos said that we have a couple days of breathing room. That's a lie.
Shy keeping watch and arming ourselves just in case. There isn't much alternative, is there?
It's not as if we can go get guns either. Benson has them locked away in his room behind another locked door. Apparently the keys are safe.
Did he say where the keys were just in case?
No, Roswell, he didn't.
It'd be more dangerous to harm someone that doesn't know how to use a gun properly anyway. Yeah, I might see if I can get that sword from the suit of armor upstairs. A sword? Really?
I swear, if this sword actually becomes a thing, that's gonna be awesome. I found myself standing in front of the vault door. This was all the rat was. A computer attached to a room holding a secret. Something about the panel drew my attention and I leaned in a bit closer. First, I thought I'd seen something, but it was something I'd heard instead. Almost like the churning of heavy metal combined with the sound of a clock ticking. Thanatos, can you hear me? How traumatic can an event be for me to remember it? How can I tell the difference between what's a dream and what's a memory?
That depends.
There he is.
Whatever you experienced last night, I didn't cause. What makes you think what you saw was a memory?
It was like I was there, but I wasn't. Like I was looking through the eyes of me that,
Yeah, real easy to follow. Listen, I had nothing to do with whatever you saw. Could be a dream, could be a memory, but whatever it was, I don't have a clue as to what you're talking about.
It's happening. Dave is remembering backwards.
Think about it this way. You can't remember anything unless you've been traumatized by the event.
You're sure?
I'm sure. Look, if you want to fight about it, give me something to work with.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about how this mystery is going to come to a head recently, now that we're in the final act, and I'm starting to get a little shaky on my theory. I still believe that Florencia is behind all this, that she's the one orchestrating things, but my faith in the claim that she's also the one that started all this is wavering. Thanatos is trying, almost comically at this point, to prove that whoever the mastermind is male. But that claim has a fundamental flaw to it. We know it's no one in the main cast, we know it's not Oz or Benson, and we know it's not Memphis and his goons. That only leaves one person left without the story pulling in a lot of underhanded moves. Reginald. And that really worries me. Grizz said on the best timeline we can expect everyone to get their happy ending and the bad guys to obviously get what they deserve. But that's just it. If Reginald is somehow the one that set this whole morphic resonance snowball in motion, the ultimate reveal of him is going to be pathetic. Like, congratulations, you found out who the bad guy is! Oh, by the way, they've been dead for 18 years. 911, I'd like to report a crime that happened 16 universes ago. On the one timeline where no murders will happen and everyone ends up happy, there will be no proof other than morphic resonance memories that say otherwise. In other words, evidence of things that never happened and no one can logistically be held accountable for at that point. Taking a load off and sitting on the stairs, I looked around the foyer, wondering where I should be looking. Oh boy, I wonder who that is! Who is it? Ah, lovely, why didn't you just say so? Please, come in!
You're not a Hammond.
We've been through this bit before, Brian.
I believe I'll suffice for that.
You're not a Hammond either, but I remember you.
May I ask what you're doing here?
Well, it's a good deal.
The foyer is hardly a comfortable place to be having a lengthy discussion. Shall we move to the dining room?
Dom led the way to the dining room with Dean, Roswell, and Orlando backing off to let him pass. Pulled out a chair and dropped into it, stretching and leaning back while the rest of us tried to figure out what to do.
If you wait here, I shall go fetch the master of the house.
He hasn't changed much, has he, Oz?
Yeah, well, things have been rough lately.
I'm guessing not knowing why.
What I want to know is why my dad sent you to come talk.
That's between me and the Hammond.
Speaking of, here I am. What do you want?
Boswell's what you have here. And isn't fussed if he has to come in and take it.
That's sounding less like a deal and more like a threat.
Dave, shut up!
So, the deal you're offering us is to stand back and keep our lives while he comes charging in to take whatever he wants.
You out clear it out means we don't have to make the bodies disappear.
No deal. I'd rather die standing than have him chase us down anyway once he's realized what he's after is something that doesn't exist.
How long do we have? Probably maybe a day or two.
Do you know why he wants the time machine?
It is not a time machine. However, I am curious as to what specifically he wants with what's downstairs.
Get rid of the old man properly for starters.
Okay, I know Memphis is an idiot, but wow, he really doesn't understand time travel at all.
I'm at a loss at what that small-minded dragon is thinking then, but I'll have no part in it.
Can tell you how to get off the mountain if you want. Gives you a head start.
Memphis can't get the machine working without me. So in exchange is what I'll offer at very least in good faith. Me plus one other shall go.
Why do I get the feeling I know who that one other is?
Best I could do is see if he'll play nice with that arrangement.
Feel free to say as long as you like. If you were here to kill us, you'd have done so already.
Well, that... Okay.
What? I didn't say anything.
How did this even happen? Were you always part of the mob? Is this a new thing?
Pretty much. Was actually that gig we had to start this up. Anyway, no point sticking around here. Probably about time I headed back.
He's unhinged. Not insane, like Jack is, but just devoid. There's something almost creepier about him than Jack now. Why are you offering us a deal, really? Why do any of this?
Are you expecting me to come out and say, I don't want to kill anyone, that I'm in some unfortunate position and I'm taking pity on you lot for being in the wrong place at the wrong time? I like my job, kid. It's true, Jack's a little more predictable than you are. The rat talks.
Again, we've been here before. He's a special rat.
The rat is actually talking. How is the rat talking? You need to make one thing clear to your boss. If the extra time given to us isn't going to change anything, make us sound pathetic. Strange rat.
Buddy, you have no idea.
A few inches later.
I've been thinking a bit. Something you said this morning about the thing you remembered. You been feeling alright after I put you under last time?
Thanatos, each time you've done that, we've woken up feeling like the inside of our head is trying to be the outside. I guess so. But... Dave, what are you doing?
We've had this conversation before, but let me get you back up. When I look through my memories, it's like seeing everything on a single line. A lot of big gaps from where I'm on fine. Yeah, I remember my master. I remember watching him die. But then there are gaps. Noticeable gaps, there shouldn't be.
I don't think I get it.
When the pattern breaks, how do I know I'm not looking at a memory but instead a dream?
You're a robot, so you're saying you're dreaming?
I'm legitimately confused. Those memories seem to show signs of tampering. Not this time, but in previous loops. There's one thing that it could be, but the only one that would know is my master. If he asked me to delete parts of my memory for him, from the looks of things, he's only wanted small sections removed, but I don't know why.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with this information, honestly. If I'm following this right, the only reason I can assume is his master would be deleting sections of memory that might be influencing Thanatos himself? Despite being a robot, he has shown signs of self-awareness, so maybe they fear that would be enough to screw with the experiment.
Which leads us back to this check I want to do. Get comfortable.
Oh boy. You know, I really should have. I saw that coming from a mile away. It was dark and cold, and I had the feeling something was very wrong. It took me longer than it should have to realize I was bleeding. My blood ran cold when I heard the sing-song voice of someone I hope I didn't have to face.
Hey, where you go?
Soon after was his manic cackling echoing through the trees. He seemed to be moving away from me rather than pursuing me.
There you are.
My eyes dipped down to see the gun in his hand. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little concerned that Dave didn't question any of that. Also, we didn't even bother looking for the Leo medal. We got to see a lot more of Dominic this time, but boy, I still don't have a firm grasp on his character at this point, and that kind of concerns me more than anything else, to be honest. Well, we do have a second timeline to check out, so... Oswin,
Well said.
for science.
For science.
So, you came to talk.
No, I haven't around, or are we just gonna have to go find one for me?
How twisted this deal you're likely to propose is.
Benson looked uneasy, and the rest of my friends looked a mix between scared and wary. Thanatos, by comparison, seemed like he was having a great time.
That thing downstairs exists, right? The thing boss calls a time machine.
There's a thing down there, but it's no time machine. The audacity you've shown by showing up alone is remarkable. Even so far as to stipulate this deal without offering us anything in kind.
Well, other than the lack of Oz being around, I'm surprised there wasn't more variance to that. I looked up to Benson, and he looked so exhausted. He was wobbling, but before I could think further, he collapsed to a knee.
Dave,
Well, that's unfortunate.
What did you do to him?
The lack of sleep has done its job. He hasn't had a full night's sleep in a while between keeping watch plus my own little games.
You started this plan how long ago just for this moment?
He sure is out like a light. Maybe he'll be a little less grumpy when he wakes up.
May I ask a question? What is your expected endgame? With Benson out of the picture in your plan, what happens to us?
You expecting some long-winded monologue about what I'm up to and how that furthers whatever plan this is going on?
That would be lovely, actually.
I wasn't being serious. The less Benson is able to commit a murder, the better.
We're not going to have another thing with someone else sleepwalking, are we?
No, Benson doesn't sleepwalk, even with mismatched medication for his species.
That... I don't like the implications of that.
Oh, well, that's good, I suppose.
No, it's really not, Sal. If Thanatos can be trusted and Benson hasn't been sleepwalking, then that would imply that the mastermind is indeed at the mansion. But that's also logistically impossible. But it can't be any of the main cast. It can't! On the one hand, Oz confirmed that Florencia was indeed here earlier, and the fact that the metals are so important is very obvious about what's going on with the morphic resonance test. But this... With one sentence, you managed to pull a vital thread out of the argument I had. And now I'm questioning if I can put it back.